Jupiter at Night is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special missions podcast. Its purpose? To defend a live audience against boredom, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the internet.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Jupiter at Night. My name is Chris.
I'm John.
Oh, you're next. I'm Jeremy.
Hey, gentlemen. I'll have to be honest. At first, I had my reservations about tonight's episode.
Why is that, sir?
Why?
Well, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan. I just have never had the chance to get into it. And tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the new Harry Potter movie, The
You're
Deathly
outnumbered.
Hallows Part 1. Well, I said it's fair game. We like on Thursdays, if we can, to talk about the movies and talk about the coming up weekend movie. You guys are pretty big Harry Potter fans.
Well, let's face it. This thing is going to be huge this weekend, whether or not we're fans.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like a feel-good movie. It's cold outside. You're gonna
It's
go
not
to
a
the theater.
feel-good
It's not
movie.
a feel-good movie.
Not at all.
Okay, I don't mean like feel-good, like, oh boy, I'm happy. But I mean, it's like a...
It's an adventure movie.
Yeah, it's like
Kinda
it's
gets
a
your blood
distraction
pumping.
is what I
Yeah.
mean.
Okay,
It's a distraction.
yeah.
Now, I wanted to come clean first before we go too far because I've really not followed this franchise. I believe
You've seen a few of the movies.
I've seen 2 or 3 of the movies.
Right.
And I've never read any of the books.
Okay.
I honestly think because I never read the books, I didn't have a connection to it. And when they started marketing the movies, I think I was a little too old for what they were targeting at the time.
Well,
and
that
it just kind of went over me.
That actually happened to me as well. I mean, I'm actually just slightly older than you as well.
Yeah.
So I felt too old when the book started coming out. I didn't even start reading until probably the second or third or fourth movie was out.
okay.
And then you started
And then
reading-
I caught
started
up on
reading.
everything and started over.
Did you read?
And you liked them right away, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Did
absolutely.
you read after you'd already seen the movie?
Yeah.
And that worked out okay?
Yeah.
See, I read them. I think I started when there were 3 of them out. So I read, what is the Philosopher's Stone?
Yeah.
Or Sorcerer's Stone.
Okay.
Yeah, get it American, dude.
Sorry, I'm half British. Then whatever the second one is.
No excuse.
Okay, and then The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the movie came out. And I saw the movie, I think it came out around Christmas time like they always do.
Yeah.
It was
It's
great.
either Christmas or in the middle of the summer
yeah.
blockbuster, yeah.
So I saw it, was watching it, fire alarm, leave the theater,
Oh, really?
go back in, start the movie over.
Curse
It
you,
was-
fire alarm! You've
That
ruined
was-
Harry
Start
Potter.
the movie over.
You have bad luck with that because that happened to us at Aviator, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Well, stop firing the fire alarms, John.
It's his gas.
It's not that so much. It's not start or stop firing the fire alarm. It's start or stop lighting the fires.
Yeah, that's
Start,
true.
stop. I get those mixed up.
So, okay, you guys, you had an initial buried entry, but you were right on board.
Yeah, I
You
was
were
right
okay?
on.
So you
my
actually
parents
read-
are teachers, and my mom's an elementary teacher, so she
kind of nudged you in the direction that
Well,
you
you
need
know,
to be
she's
nudged.
like, "Hey, check these out. They're not
Yeah.
so bad." So I.
So you were reading them before the first movie came out.
Yeah,
What did you
yeah.
think of the cast when you first saw the first movie?
I
What were
didn't
your
know
initial
anything about them.
impressions?
You know, I was like, okay.
Well, it's a bunch
I
of
was-
nobodies.
Yes,
but
they were a bunch of nobodies.
Not
I think
anymore.
Daniel Radcliffe had done like Oliver or something before
Yeah.
that, and I don't know. I was
all of
okay
them
with it.
are multimillionaires now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
I mean,
is
this has become a
ridiculous.
huge franchise.
None of them will ever have to work another day in the rest of their lives.
No.
but they do.
Well, they do.
Daniel
that-
Radcliffe has been Equus,
And that's
showing his junk.
Right? All over the place.
now that's actually been a point of controversy. You know,
A play that George Takei was in, by the way.
really.
Yeah, not the same one, but not the same version.
Not at the same time.
Yeah.
They continue to go on to make money, and they are splitting this movie into a 2-part series. And I've been kind of when I drive around, I like to tune into the local AM radio and see what the mainstream media is saying about stuff. And it seems like the big pushback here is they think it's a grab for money.
Yeah.
It's totally grab for money. Reading the book, it's long, but there's lots of periods in this last book, without going into spoilers, where they're just kind of like, lots of time passes.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, okay, here's what they're doing at this month, that kind of thing. There's no reason.
You know,
really
I
to
just
drag it
remembered
out.
that that's the reason I didn't reread the last book. Was that middle section was so boring. I didn't want to
it's
slog
kinda
through
slow,
it again.
but I think it's still good as a whole.
Yeah.
But
I think that splitting the movie into... No, I was right. Splitting the book into 2 movies, it totally is a money grab, absolutely. But
Yeah.
at the same
splitting
time...
The Hobbit into 2 movies.
Yeah, and at the same time, when you slow something down that much, you're able to fit more in. Some of the previous movie adaptations of this particular series, I think, have not been very faithful,
Right.
because they had to cut too much out.
Yeah, it's always, I think, a problem when you're converting a big, thick, novel like that.
My problem with it is out of all the books, this movie is probably this book
could most easily be truncated.
Yeah, I can
Yes,
understand.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to lose too much because there's some stuff that's like, okay, and then
Yeah.
this is a general feeling.
I would like to point out though that Warner Brothers isn't just totally going hog wild greedy over this.
Yeah.
They canceled their plans to make it available in 3D.
And that's an interesting move. I think it's brave. Because,
And it's a good move.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I actually want to go on the record and say I don't know what the distance between. I don't know what the time between part 2. I don't know when that is. I don't know how far.
It's going to be coming out in July.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a little longer than
They
I'd
were
like.
filmed at the same time though.
I would like to see.
Yeah.
What would be awesome is like March, but I guess maybe that's just not when they make money, so they won't do it.
No, it's
but
looking a bad movie season.
I honestly kind of like it. It's kind of fun to have a big epic 2-part thing that you have to go to the theater
And since
for.
you know,
they
that's
did the
what
same
it's going to
thing.
be going into it, you know you're going to be treated to a cliffhanger at the end of this movie that you're going to
And
want to
I've
see
heard
the
it's a little
resolution
rough.
to.
I've heard it's a little rough.
Really?
Yeah,
The where it was cut?
yeah. So
I think the previews look good. I think just looking at the early Metacritic ratings, I think it's getting like a 68 or something like that.
Rotten
which
Tomatoes is around an 80 still.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to watch
All right,
it.
but yeah, you guys get
Reviews are all over the board.
Yeah.
I've seen one review that I didn't put in our show notes. Only gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I mean, they just panned it for being just slow and disjointed.
It is
did
the
hear
slowest book.
I heard
easily it's the slowest book. I still like it.
I
And there's
heard
still
that,
action.
that the reviewer that mentioned that he felt it also ended a little bit rough. That there was points where he thought they didn't really need to. This totally could have been cut to make this.
They
a
even
single
extended
Yeah.
sins that did not appear in the books,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
that were just
They-
like
they
throwaway
have to.
references,
Yeah.
just to fill up an entire movie. Which
Yeah.
again goes back to that feeling that they split it in order to make it a money grab.
movie. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's,
Urgh.
yeah, of course it's a money grab. It's a movie. Like, that's what they do.
Does
But
this movie really need to be a money grab at this point?
Why not?
the series is almost over. It's the same thing as, like I said, what they're doing with The Hobbit. The Hobbit is what, like maybe 250 pages, maybe?
Yeah.
And a lot of it's just kind of like walking. I love it. It's
Right.
a kid's book, and now it's going to be 2 movies. It's just kind of ridiculous.
But at the same time, I mean, let's be honest. It's not like we're victims. We know what we're getting into, and
Yeah.
I want that. I just like I like story arcs in TV shows, story arcs in movies. Like I would love to see what Marvel could do with all the Avengers series and stuff like that.
Right.
If they could make an epic Avengers
Several
story,
movie art.
I would.
Yeah.
I would every time I'd be there with my money in my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be lining up and just you watch them just as it like.
So what's wrong with them doing that here?
It's like Back to the Future 2 ends. You're like, well, what's going to happen to Doc? And then I think it was just this next summer they released 3.
Clever.
And
And that's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Of course, then they had to crap on the ending. But
yeah.
did you see that video where the kid pointed his crotch?
You mean the one that I told
Oh,
you
that
about
was
and
you?
showed you just last week?
Shut up, John. I thought Jerry told me about it.
No.
I can't keep it straight.
No, now I have to see the pointing at
Oh,
the
you haven't
crotch
seen it?
thing.
All right, gentlemen. Okay, focus on Harry Potter.
Okay. No, the point I was getting at is these movies have already made almost $6 billion gross. By the end of July, it's estimated it'll be almost $8 billion.
Kind of lucky they didn't split into 3 movies.
Put that into perspective.
Mhm.
Call of Duty Black Ops has made $680 million now. It's
That's
on its
crazy,
way
too.
to $1 billion in 5 days.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is. So video games, of course, they're selling them at $60 a pop. But video games are here to represent, and I
Yeah.
think that's where
Well, people are taking it seriously. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
lots
that's
of money
big
behind
dollars.
it.
But I mean, not
a good
to
tangent.
diminish
That'd be
$7
something
billion.
we can get into later. I mean, video games have definitely became a multi-billion-dollar industry
And
recently.
they join them. I mean, there's video game movies, which are always big sellers, no matter how horrible they are.
Guilty
The
of
Harry
that.
Potter, are you?
No, so
The Harry
yeah.
Potter
While we're on the
video game is
subject,
supposed to suck.
every
actually.
single
Reviews
one
say
of them
it
has
sucks.
sucked
Yeah.
balls. Every single one has been terrible.
They always suck.
They're always a rush.
The Lego Harry Potter was not terrible because Lego does good games.
Yeah, Lego
Yeah.
tends to do right. I
but
agree with you
it was
there.
still not great.
I didn't play Lego.
I'll be
I
honest
played Lego
with you.
Star Wars.
I saw Lord of the Rings game come out, and I still am tempted because I really had a great experience with the GameCube version.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played that together.
We did.
Back when you were living like 4 houses ago or something. like that?
Yeah, and it was, we just burned through that. I mean, we just were machines on that game,
Right.
and that was a movie game.
Uh-huh.
But it was good.
It was good.
Yeah. So it's not always bad.
The
Yeah.
fandom, the impact that Harry Potter though has had. I mean, it goes beyond movies, it goes beyond video games,
Yeah.
and way beyond
There's
the
a
books.
theme park.
There's a theme park, but there's more than that. I mean, there's real life people playing Quidditch with
Yeah.
broom stuffed between
How
their legs.
sad is that? That was like if they could just do it without the broom stuff between their legs, I'd have so much more respect for it.
I
It's
Well,
know.
the other one that I've seen is called the Muggle Quidditch League, where they don't use the brooms. They just run around and basically play soccer with high up
that's
goals.
way better.
Way better.
And that sounds like a real sport rather than like I'm a witch.
All right, guys.
It's just ridiculous though how big this is.
Do you think you're gonna race out and see it this weekend?
I'm
I don't know
going
if
to
I'm
try to
gonna-
get it this weekend. Yeah.
I don't know if I've got a busy weekend, but I definitely will see it, and probably in the theater.
You know, actually, another random fact for you guys: it's being released in just over 4,000 theaters for midnight screenings. Over 3,800 of those are already sold out.
Wow.
As of
It's
today,
pretty
when I was
huge.
doing
It's-
my
So what was the first number? How many theaters?
over 4,000, just over 4,000,
And how many are sold out?
3,800,
Holy crap!
which means there's only and that was this afternoon. It's probably gone by now. It's probably every single midnight screening in the
is
world is
nuts.
sold out
Well, you
by
got
now.
you got the people who are just going to aren't just buying one ticket; they're buying 3 tickets. You know,
Right.
I mean,
And
for
then they're going to
themselves.
scalp them
Yeah,
at the door.
yeah. You think they're scalping, or you think they're going to go see 3 different
I
screenings?
think that there are people who are seeing 3 different screenings
I
or
would do
more.
it for a Star Trek movie. If that was sold out, I might buy a couple tickets for myself.
yeah, people do that.
You know, we should draw the comparison to Star Trek. I mean, I think Harry Potter is going to be a bigger franchise.
than Star Trek.
Sadly,
See, I don't think so because I don't think it has the legs afterwards. I mean, Star Trek they're
Yeah.
still making.
Well,
they can still keep doing series.
Star Trek has a 30-year historical cultural impact.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I-
people know "Beam Me Up, Scotty."
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that Harry Potter has a cultural impact for sure. I think that it's something that's a children's classic. I think it's just already kind of a done deal. They're written well. They're entertaining.
I think it's also more of a cultural impact in Britain, where it actually originated from.
Yeah.
There are,
I mean, Rowling's got more money than the Queen, right? So it's
yeah,
kinda
Yeah.
crazy.
You know, she was nominated. She became the runner-up for Time Magazine's 2007 Person of the Year. Just some writer that makes kid books.
Yeah. Well, she's generous too. She's a lot of
That's-
charity stuff. Although I heard she
that's
got in
pretty
some
darn
big thing with
amazing.
Some guy who just did like a.
Oh yeah, hey, that's great. They people in the chat room here mentioned that they also loved the Bookham in the chat room says he loved the Lord of the Rings game on the GameCube. Yep, and so did Mattis. You know,
It was awesome.
It was a
fun.
really
we
good
played
game.
together. I don't remember who would be who. I think I was always Gandalf.
Yeah,
Like, I
course
want to
you
be the dwarf.
yeah, that's right. Because you had to unlock the different characters. And all that. So now you guys, coming from the book angle here, had a couple
Yeah.
of book recommendations that I thought would be
Yeah.
kind of a fun time.
Yeah. So I mean, there's actually now's a good time for kids books that are also good for adults. And and the one that I was telling Jeremy about and was mentioning a little bit earlier before we recorded was The Hunger Games, which is everybody's hearing about now. They're making a movie of it.
You didn't tell me that part.
I didn't tell you that. Ha, ha.
Well, that could be a pretty serious.
Yeah,
movie.
I think they're casting now.
Okay,
Really?
so what's it about again?
I can get in on
It
that?
takes place. Yeah, you can get in on it.
Yeah.
It's,
Call me.
Dystopian future. Pretty much.
Like a
There's
post-nuke
there's,
kind of
there's
a
some
thing?
places kind of like really kind of I don't know, some government that's just pretty evil, and all the rich people live in this like kind of sector.
Canada.
almost. And then
Okay.
there's all these other
Like a zone.
poor places like that have their own specialties, like and the lead person, their main thing is coal, so their sector produces coal.
Okay.
Anyway, so at one time they rebelled against the capital because the capital's evil and has all the technology, all the money, all the food, and they lost because they have all the technology and stuff, and they got bombed.
Yeah.
The capital's like, you know what you're gonna do so you never do this again? Every year we're gonna select 2 people, a boy and a girl, and a boy and a girl, like under 18, and you're gonna go to this place and you're gonna fight to the death. Pretty
And the
awesome
winner-
concept. And the winners, and there's only one winner is how it's supposed to work, and the winning person is not only gets rich for life, pretty much, but their sector gets food for a year, like extra food, because everyone's starving.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
capital
why
has everything.
The Hunger Games.
Yeah, the Hunger Games.
So
So,
it sounds really-
everybody watches. It's almost like mandatory viewing, and the person's generally considered a hero when they win. A whole thing's televised.
So it's
Then they're
really-
kind of like the popular person in the group.
right.
Yeah.
So the first book, which I've read,
You said
was
it
a lot
was
of fun.
It was kind of aimed at young adults, but it
It's
sounds
ki-
really
yeah,
dark.
technically it's young adults, but it is dark. There's like love triangle. There's like lots of like. It's totally works for
Well,
adults.
we'll put a link to it in the show notes, and just an honest disclaimer here, we do have an affiliate link in there, so we do get a
You get
percentage
some
of
money.
the sale. Yeah.
But they're fun books, and they're kind of widely respected. When I first heard about them, I'm like, that sounds like it could be pretty cheesy, but it is written well. It's good.
If it wasn't a recommendation coming from you, John, I probably wouldn't give him the time of day.
Check
But
it out.
I kind of trust your
like-
literary chaps.
Like understand that it is technically still a kid's book.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't like go into super gore or anything.
Aw.
But there's still some stuff.
Well, you
going
know
on.
what? My recommendation is definitely not for kids. This is something that I would say if you grew up with Harry Potter and you're now an adult,
Yes.
like in your mid-20s or late 20s or early 30s like
Thank you.
myself,
What if I'm in my 40s?
I think it's still good.
Okay.
But basically, if you were
I'm gonna wait.
a
if I'm
fan
52?
of Harry Potter and liked watching it grow into a darker, more adult
Oh, I
type
got where
of
you're going.
genre,
Right.
pick up the Game of Thrones. This is the first in a series called The Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin, which is actually becoming a series on HBO as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
And it's
yours
just
just turned
a
into a
great
movie.
book.
So this
James
is
has turned
this
into a-
fantasy?
Yeah, it's fantasy.
Okay.
It's low magic, though. It's kind of like even lower than Lord of the Rings, really.
That sounds
There's
pretty
only-
nerdy if it's low magic.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
it's
if
like
you
more
have to like if you're quantifying your books magic-wise. I give this 2 magic stars.
So it's probably not really up my league.
It's only one
I'm not
wand out
big
of
into
5.
fantasy. I think that's been another problem with me and
And the Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to give
I
Harry
think
Potter a
it'd be
go.
fun. I like
Yeah.
I like both. I like both.
Can I jump
Somebody-
into this one, guys, or do I need to?
Into this movie?
Yeah.
I think you could.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got a bit of a just a general idea of how the Harry Potter storyline. You know what? And actually, I've got a link in our show notes that gives you kind of a quick rundown of the major
Yeah.
plot points of each of the previous
No
movies.
kidding.
Although not
get
enough
you caught up.
because Jeremy didn't know what the Deathly Hollows were. He thought that they weren't mentioned at all in the book.
Call out.
Yeah.
Call him out.
All right. So I've only read it once. Here we go.
I was telling John before the show that I read everything in the series twice except.
And Chris is like, "Well, what is the Deathly Hollows?" He's like, "I don't know. It's not really talked about in the book. It's the
I don't
one
even
thing that's never
remember it
explained."
being in the book.
But it's huge in the book. It's like half of the plot of the book is the Deathly Hollows. It's like Horcruxes or Deathly Hollows.
Jeremy, were you drunk when you
I
read that
only
one?
remembered the Horcruxes.
Yeah,
I
well,
think it was because I just got so bored in the middle of that book.
yeah, but like the Deathly Hollows are like the cool part. Like that's like the cool part of the book.
You know,
It's
that's
like,
the risk you
Deathly Hollows,
take,
I gotta
though.
find that shit.
If you gotta, if you jump ahead, you know, because you're like, oh man, I've done
this
this
is
in a
boring.
book. Like I'll be like, oh man, I gotta
Flip,
go
flip,
ahead,
flip.
flip, and then you miss it. That happened to me before.
And then John makes fun of me for it.
Right. Oh, come on.
You
Come on.
totally get
All right.
called out.
Well, full disclosure, when I was reading Lord of the Rings, I was reading it for school, and the part where Sam thinks that Frodo dies because of the giant spider, I was reading in my sleep because I had to finish it by the next day, and I still had like 300 pages left. And it was
Yeah.
like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm just
So you just
I was
assumed
falling
that he was
asleep
dead?
reading, still turning pages, and it's like Frodo's. I'm like, wide awake, go back 50 pages.
What?
Yeah, and then like start paying attention, finish the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. All right. Anything else with the Harry Potter?
We've got a
gentlemen?
few more book recommendations from our chat room that I'll include in the
Okay.
chat
Yeah.
in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
So check those out.
You know, because this is our last episode of the week, Thursdays are our Fridays here at Jupiter at Night. I wanted to mention that we did get actually a good amount of voicemails. We were actually kind of pleased with the amount of voicemails we got for you guys when we did the TSA Don't Touch Our Junk episode. And I wanted to say thank you very much. I think we're going to play those probably in a future episode of Jupiter at Night.
Because we haven't screened them yet. We don't know if you guys just got on the line and started yelling at us. And
Yeah. Although
Swearing up and
I got
down.
a
A little
couple
bit.
on here. You know, we got a couple
Yeah, we
from
gotta
we got
listen
a
to a
couple
couple.
like George here from folks that are outside the U.S. but are U.S. citizens and you know their experiences traveling. Kind of some weird stuff going on. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think we'll do a follow-up episode next week that features some of your voicemails. And so if you have a topic that we've covered that you want to chime in on, you can go ahead and give us a call at 1-425-533-2217, and we're going to do a viewer voicemail featured episode next week.
entirely
Ooh.
selfishly, but if you go see Harry Potter this weekend and would like to call in a review for us, I'd listen to those.
Get the early screening.
Yeah.
I like that. That's not bad.
There you
That's
go.
a good way to do that.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining us this entire week of Jupiter Night. And John, welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's
Good to have you.
Fun to be here.
And coming up later on the live stream in the week, I think we've got Lotso tomorrow night at 8 p.m. live.
That'll be on
And,
Friday. This is
Friday,
tomorrow. Yeah.
tomorrow. And then Saturday, we have Stoked. We're going to do Stoked Live at 11 a.m. And then Sunday, the Linux Action Show. After that, we take a day off, and we're back here for Tuesday for an all-new episode of Jupiter at Night.
Be there.
And until we see you then, have a great weekend.